All right. Thank you, ladies and gents. Good morning, and thank you very much for your time. Calling Curry Cup action this weekend, facing the Bulls. With me, I've got Lions Rugby Company CEO Rudolph Strale, Lions Rugby Company coaches, head coaches, Ivan van Rooyen and Mzee Nkosi. Guys, can I please ask that you raise your hands so that we can just have a little bit of order, so that we can see who goes first and. Yeah, so the floor is open. Jan.
Thanks. I've probably got quite a few questions for all of you, but I'll start with Rudolph. Rudolph, we obviously seen a lot in the media in the last week or so of players departing, including the guy who's captaining the team. We all know he's departing, and then the other guys who announced leaving to the Sharks and all sorts of things. What is the situation in terms of recruitment? And I think some of your coaches have touched on it previously. What's the situation in terms of recruiting at the Lions? Because it seems like you're losing a lot, but we don't get a lot of players coming in the other direction.
Thanks, Jan. Is it a question or a statement?
I'm asking what is happening. Can we expect some signings from the Lions, and how are we stemming the flow?
Sounds like a question.
We're definitely busy with recruitment. We've been actively recruiting juniors and senior players. So yes, you could expect some announcements. Some of the announcements that's been in the media has been premature. So I can confirm that Burger has signed a contract with Wasps, and we're obviously still in talks of when he is going to leave. So his contract is only finishing in October, but that is detail that I don't want to go through every player, but you can ask if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've seen the players announced by the Sharks leaving to the Sharks. And when are those contracts actually running out, and when are those players available for you, Tom?
Well, basically, like I said earlier on, those announcements are premature. I'm waiting. Edward is in America. We're waiting if we can solve it on an amicable basis. Apart from that, we're reserving our rights. Vincent contract is only finishing in December, and then other speculations, Carlos' contract is finishing in June.
If you say you're reserving your rights, I mean, we've seen this happen before, where people have to probably go the legal route. Are you expecting to go that, or do you hope to settle amicably?
Like I said, as I'm awaiting Edward, and hopefully we can solve it amicably. If not, then we reserve our rights. So.
Yeah, I'll leave it for the other guys for a bit.
Any Curry Cup questions, Jan?
I'll get to that later. I'm not sure what the other guys want to ask.
Okay, we'll take Heinz and then Percival.
Hi guys, hope you're well. Cash, I probably suppose this is like a really, really opportune time to serve both teams' interests. You can probably arrest a bit of a losing streak in the Curry Cup and keep yourself, guys, actually also match fit for one last tilt next week in Wales.
Yeah, Hans, thank you. It is a good opportunity for us to get some more game times into players before we tour next week. I think Jen to my right, Mzwaki, and the management team. Obviously, we were quite stingy with the majority of the URC players through the campaign. So I know it's tough, but I think they also did a stellar job in getting guys ready. They won Venters, like you see in the team today, due to a couple of injuries and all of that. Haiku's, Kelschmidt, Jared, Inko van Wyk. So without them and without that system, we also would have struggled to get guys ready and make them play. So for 4 more games for us as a company, to put the best possible team forward and get the results that we want.
And then just lastly, Cash, on the loose trio, it's a big one actually. It's a really big one. Just the composition of that, and I mean, probably a guy like Sbu Sangweni is probably going to get even bigger, when when him and Emmanuel and those guys, start going through preseason next season and that type of thing. But is the makeup of that loose trio sort of like also the future, of playing in Europe, to be honest?
Yeah, I think you can, I can understand why you make that comment. If you look at it, it looked quite European. Taller 6, nice big physical 7, and an 8 that's good back and forward and laterally. So is it the future? I think they've got a great opportunity this weekend to show exactly what they do have. And if they play next weekend again, doing it in Europe. So I think it's a big weekend for them as a combination. And someone like Sabu that didn't get as much game time as the others to really stick up his hand.
Thanks, Hans. Percy?
And thank you so much for your time. Apologies for the sound. Let me just walk away. And sorry, I joined a bit late now, so I'm going to ask you just to help me out quickly, or maybe the CEO can help out. Meneer die uitvoerende hoof, is dit 'n Currie-Beeker announcement of is there 'n URC span wat hier vandag aan bekend gemaak is?
Percy, it's a Currie Cup team, but we have entered a lot of URC players into the fold. We're combining forces, as you've seen, and what you said earlier is that Mzwaki's done a sterling job developing these youngsters for us, and after all the games, we've got 4 more games, we will have a wash-up on our system. We obviously used a lot of young players in the Currie Cup and focused on URC. By 1 or 2 decisions, we could have been in the playoffs with the URC, so the main focus was on the URC. But now it gives the opportunity to look at other combinations and maybe players going forward. So a bit of a combination of both.
Is there a follow-up there, Percy? Okay, we'll move on. Are you done? You happy? Ross, do you want to take a stab?
How's it, guys? Also want to apologize for the sound here. It's a bit loud by me. Rudolph, since 2018, the Lions have now lost close to about 40 players, first team players. And every season, it's constantly about trying to rebuild that team, and then often a few of the guys leave. Now, whether Vincent or Carlu leaves or not at the end of the season, it's still very tough for the coach to keep building every season. Do you have any plans in place to try and arrest that slide and make the guys stay a lot longer and try and keep that all together?
Ross, thank you for that. Been growing a lot of our own and looking locally at our own junior players and only buying in players where needed when we have to buy players in. Also been a very tough time financially with COVID, so we've stayed close to our budget and stuck tight to our guns. And yes, it's been difficult, but also rewarding by developing your own. And like you say, if there's 40 players that's left, we have maybe developed another 20. The contracting model is obviously changing, and we haven't even played in an EPCR or Champions Cup or Champions or Challenge Cup yet. And I think we all know, sitting in front of you, is that we still need more if we want to compete successfully in Europe.
Fantastic. And then I see that Vince and Emmanuel weren't in the team for this weekend. Are they available for next weekend? I don't know if you or Cash wants to answer this one. Or are there still visa problems with them?
I think at the moment they've just been left out due to injury. I think Vincent's got a slight concussion, and I'm not too sure, Cash. I think Emmanuel's got an ankle.
Yeah.
But as soon as they're available, we will select them.
Okay, so they are available for Dragons, though.
Hopefully they can pass their medicals.
Fantastic. And then lastly, for Cash and Zawaki, this is largely a URC team that's been named for this weekend against the Bulls. Once the team is back from Wales, are we expecting to see a bit more of a mixture of the youngsters who've been doing business and the more experienced guys? Or do you think we're going to see a largely URC team over those last two Currie Cup games?
Thanks, Ross. If you refer to youngsters, there's quite a bit of them in the URC team as well. But I think the last two games probably be a mix. Looking at combinations, looking slightly ahead of possibilities. So immediate focus is this game and obviously the Dragons away. And then when we come back, probably looking forward a little bit more.
Great. Thanks very much, guys.
Thanks, Ross. Yeah, nice to see you back.
Thank you. Yeah, I was actually going to ask Rudolf to repeat what he said because there was quite a lot of feedback and background. We couldn't hear what Rudolf said about the European based around that question around European. If you don't mind repeating that answer, Rudolf, I couldn't hear what you were saying.
Yeah, and I said that we are obviously, like I said earlier on when your question came up, that we are recruiting at the moment. And yes, we have to relook our system. Obviously, we're recruiting junior players for our junior competitions and also for the Currie Cup. But we're also recruiting for URC, and we haven't even played EPCR or European Cup challenge match yet. So I think we are a bit thin or underdone at the moment in numbers of players. But that's been due to our budgets and COVID. So it's not been easy, but it's been rewarding. And thank you to Mzwaki and his Currie Cup management team by developing the good youngsters that Cash can pick them.
If I may ask a follow-up, I mean, you touched on the budget issue. And we've had a thing article earlier this week about the cash or the salary cuts in Europe or something. Are you guys under the same constraints, or are you guys have you got something in the bank that you can play with to catch up on the recruitment front?
Look, we also have got a cap, like you know, Jan. So there's a cap in numbers and there's a cap in monetary total annual spend. But we have not spent the total annual spend because we have not had that income, and it's quite easy to explain why we haven't had that income, because we've had no people through the gates, and we haven't had the same commercials that we've had in the days when we were without COVID.
On the numbers cap, I mean, are we talking about the 45 players per squad? How strictly is that adhered to, and is there some flexibility from SA Rugby?
It's 50 at the moment, Jan, and basically there's a task team that's overlooking it at the moment, and it will come back to us. But we are taking everything into account. We obviously would like everybody to adhere to the same regulations that we are adhering to at the moment. I believe that we have contributed in saving the industry and not going into liquidation or administration. So from the line side and from the chairman and the board side, is we will not do anything that will put the business at risk.
And so can I possibly ask a few Afrikaans questions to the CEO, please?
Yes, Percy, let's chat Currie Cup as well, please, gents.
Okay. I actually like to ask a few questions about Currie Cup versus URC at the moment, because I'm still very confused. I apologize for this. Meneer die uitvoerende hoof, Percival Young van ENEC, kan ek net weer die vraag van Afrikaans vra? Is dit 'n Currie Beeker announcement vandag of is dit 'n URC announcement? En kan jy in die antwoord kan jy vir my dalk sê wie is die afrigter van hierdie naweek se wedstryd? Is dit Ivan van Rooyen of is dit Mzwaki wat môre die afrigter is?
Percy, ja, dankie vir die vraag. Net om dit duidelik te stel, ons het gevind in die URC kompetisie toe ons tydperke afgehaal het, soos na baie suksesvolle wedstryd teen die Stormers, het ons gevind dat elke keer as ons nie daai URC speel nie, dan het ons 'n volgende, soos teen Konrad ook, die tyd ons afgehaal het. Ons gevoel ons het was bietjie onvoorbereid geweest, so ons gebruik hierdie wedstryd as voorbereiding vir vir die Dragons wedstryd in dis hoekom Ivan die afrigter gaan wees.
Rolf, is daar tans 'n krisis by die Leeu's Rugby nie?
Nee, glad nie. Hoekom, Percy?
Nee, ek vra nou juist vir die dringende stappe wat nou geneem word met die span selfs. Jy het nou onhoudend wel gegooi rondom spelers wat die Unie verlaat. Jy wel gesê baie van die goed is premature soos in Engels verduidelik het. Wil jy net Afrikaans verduidelik wat is die situasie tans? Hoekom is spelers tans besig om die Unie te verlaat dan? In jou opinie?
Ja, Percy, ek het gesê ek wag nog vir Edward om terug te kom. Daar is nie 'n klomp spelers wat verlaat nie. Daar is net sekere spelers wat afgekondig is voor dat alles afgehandel is en ek dink dit is soos wat die Engelse woord is premature. Dis maar my woorde gewees.
Ja, as 'n lid van bestuur, as uitvoerende hoof, as jy in die bestuur van die Unie is, jy gelukkig met waar julle spanne tans is. Ek moet vir jou sê, Rudolf, ek was bevoorreg geweest om selfs julle vroue span te sien. En hoewel hulle bevorder was tot die Premierliga van byvoorbeeld van die vroue kompetisie, sukkel hulle ook tans op die oomblik na 3 rondes in daai kompetisie. Al julle spanne is nie op 'n baie goeie plek op die oomblik nie. As julle as bestuur slaap julle rustig met waar julle Unie tans is?
Percy, ons streef altyd om wedstryde te wen. Het ons 8 jaar gevat om die vroue liga te ontwikkel. Ons het 'n onder 16 onder 18 liga, konstante liga en ons het nou vroue in die Premier Divisie en ons is baie trots op hulle. So hulle het nou nog net 3 wedstryde gespeel en ons het geweet dit gaan moeilik wees, maar dit het hulle 2 jaar periode om hulle self te vestig in die Premier Liga. Ons het in die URC het ons gevoel met 1 of 2 beslissings kon ons dalk in die uitspelwedstryde gewees het. Ons is baie tevrede met die groei van daai span. Dit was ook ons doel gewees om te probeer om in die top 10 te kom wat nog moontlik is. En dan verder met die Karibeker span het ons geweet met die aanstelling van Mzwaki was ons baie gelukkig geweest en ons het geweet dit gaan 'n baie moeilike taak wees vir hom om klomp jong spelers te vorm en ons sekere wedstryde het ons naby gekom, ons het nie wedstryde gewen nie. En ja, vir ons is dit 'n uitdaging. Ons het geweet dit gaan nie maklik wees nie en dis hoekom ons na die laaste paar wedstryde kyk of ons bietjie sterker span kan kies en bietjie meer ervaring kan insit, maar ons sal na die afloop van alle kompetisies sal ons 'n dingskram hê en kyk waar ons dit kan verbeter. So ons is nie heeltemal gelukkig met hoe ons stelsel geloop het nie. En dit is dalk 'n probleem van die bestuur se kant af, maar part van dit is ons baie gelukkig met die afrigters en van die spelers wat ontwikkel is.
Rudolf, ek moet my laaste vraag vra as ek mag. Die realiteit is Rudolf is sorry nou Jesus.
Last question please, we can move on.
Thank you so much sir. Rudolf, ek moet die vraag aan u stel as die uitvoerende hoof. The buck stops with you as a CEO. Kan ek vir jou dan die vraag vra? Die realiteit is na vandag se perskonferensie gaan dit lyk asof die huidige Karibeker afrigter was nie goed genoeg gewees nie en nou bring hulle die JRC afrigter om die kampanje verder te vat.
Kom ek stel dit vir jou so, Percy, is in hierdie jaar wat daar 'n baie opgekropte kompetisiestruktuur was. Ek praat van op 'n maandag is daar waar's die Cup spanne gespeel, dan is daar 120 spanne wat gespeel het en dan is daar Karibeker spanne wat gespeel het en URC spanne. Ons het net 2 bestuurspanne gehad. Ons het 'n baie klein squad van spelers gehad en ons moes baie nou saamwerk saam met die universiteite wat Mzwaki baie goed gedoen het. So daar's geen twyfel aan sy bevoegdheid en wat hy vir ons gedoen het en spelers te ontwikkel nie. En hy word nie gemeet aan hierdie jaar se Karibeker kompetisie uitslaan nie. Aan die ouens wat hy ontwikkel het. So ek dink is 'n onregverdige vraag van jou daai.
All right, Percy, let's leave it there. Morgan, we'll take you and then we'll take one more before we close, guys.
Yeah, thanks. Hi, Rudolf. Hi, Ivan. Hi, Mzwaki. This is for the coaches. Do you think with the selections that you've now made for the Bulls game tomorrow, that you are going to, and I know you guys don't want to talk necessarily on behalf of the Bulls, but you're going to, might with your selections have taken them by surprise as well, and that you become almost now an unknown quantity as you look for that first victory in the Currie Cup?
Other Morgan, yep. Thanks, Job. There's obviously a big focus from our side on us, not as much on the Bulls, to be honest. So how we want to play, what tempo we want to play at, the way we want to play. So there will always be expectation to do well. It doesn't matter what team we pick. So yeah, we're going to go there tomorrow to focus on us and do what we do well.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we'll take one more. I don't see any hands, so one more.
Percy's put his hand up.
Can I ask Coach Mzwaki a question though, Yanis?
Yes, you can go, Percy.
Coach, you've been just sitting there and listening to all these comments around you, about you. What is your take on the situation at the moment? And obviously you guys as management have spoken and had a chat with each other. It's very uncomfortable sitting next to a CEO, the guy who employs you, and to be honest, but can you give us a sense of what exactly is happening at the moment and how you see the situation though? As much as some colleagues are laughing at this person.
Percy, good morning, first of all. Secondly, as the CEO has alluded to, the combination of the team, and it only makes sense, Percy, that the guys who are predominantly playing are being led by the guy who's coached them for the last year or so. You know, it really makes sense for me to coach a 90% predominantly URC team when they've been coaches who've done that for the last year or so. So you know, Cash has led the team. I mean, bar 4 players. It's a team. I don't want to call it a URC team. It's a team that's largely represented the Lions in the URC competition. In terms of calls and synergy and whatever, it only makes sense for him to lead that. And in light of obviously as Rudolph has spoken about, our team not going into the playoffs bar 1 or 2 decision, and it's something that obviously has been bemoaned for the last 8 weeks or so. Is that will we field a team that is as close to as best as possible that this franchise can offer, and that's what we as a franchise are doing tomorrow. And I'm in support of that, and the rest of our management are in support of that. We appreciate the comments that they've made. Obviously, it's been a tough campaign for us as a management, but for our youngsters too. But as yet again Rudolph has spoken about, we've got 1 or 2 Oaks who've graduated into the team that represents the Lions in the URC, and that's a good thing. And I think that'll alleviate 1 or 2 departures that are happening, and that for us is a win as a franchise. But going forward, I think it's important that we take logical steps and be logical in our decision-making person.
Guys, thank you very much for your time. Good afternoon.
Thanks very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good luck for the weekend.